Now we are learning a Sikha of Dvar Malchut. Sikha of Dvar Malchut, and it's a continuation of what we learned last week about Moshiach and the redemption, the GOLA, which is supposed to be any second now. It's tremendously late. 2,000 years late. And we haven't given up. Now the Rebbe is trying to tell us exactly what to do in order to make this future redemption, this not in the future, to make it present. Here's a nice, beautiful picture by Baruch Nachshon. You should be well, healthy. Okay, we can even learn the introduction. Here we go. Introduction. Ready? Yes. But Dvar Malchut in Parshat Emor, this was said in 1991. So this is shortly before the Rebbe had his stroke. Masber Rebbe, the Rebbe explains, Shebavoda da'aficha galut, to transform this exile, this seemingly meaningless world, the GOLA, to the redemption where the Creator is revealed and all potential is good potential is revealed. To go from galut to GOLA, yeshnam shlosha inyanim. There's three things. First of all, revealed God in the world, revealed godliness, which is above the world, but it has some connection to the world, and Gila Elokus, revelation of God, which is totally above the world. And this is all going to be attached to the letter ALEF. Remember what we said last time? Galut means exile, imprisonment, that the whole world is now in prison, especially the Jewish people, because we're not aware of what true freedom is, to be connected to God through the Torah. That's true freedom. Now the world is in prison, is in a coma. That's galut. And the way to change it, to bring the future redemption that everyone is waiting for, that everybody needs to make this world into a vibrant, happy, meaningful, blessed place, is what do you have to do? Not to go to heaven. Judaism doesn't say you have to destroy the world, you have to leave the world, you have to abandon the world, conquer the world. All you have to do is just educate the world, put an ALEF, bring a blessing into the world. This letter ALEF, that's the difference between GOLA and GOLA. Galut is, okay, the Galut is a general name. Another name for the exile is called GOLA. GOLA. And GOLA. Just put the ALEF inside. Now the Rebbe is going to explain three different aspects of this ALEF. This is from the Kavod Kush Rebbe Malubavitch, Melech HaMashiach, Sheyichya L'Olam Voed. Tochen and Yanim. All right, ready? Here we go. Behemshech. Medubar, that what we said before, last week, about GOLA, that the word GOLA are the same letters as GOLA, just that with an additional ALEF. Right, so the Rebbe is doing what the Moshiach is supposed to do. This is what the Moshiach is supposed to educate the world. This is the education of the world. This Moshiach is going to be two things. He's going to be a teacher and a king. A teacher means that he's going to educate everybody what they have to do. And a king is going to be a person that's going to educate people to do things that they don't even want to do, that are against their, that's a king. Oh, 1 second. I forgot to put this on last time. There we go. So this is, yeah. The whole completion of GOLA, this is, so we said, all we have to do is add the ALEF. This is the whole idea of the future redemption, more than any of the 4 or 5 languages of redemption. Remember, we've had in Parshas Va'era that God says to Moses, I'm going to take the Jewish people out, V'hitzalti, V'lakachti, V'ga'alti says that God said, I will take the Jewish people out, I will redeem the Jewish people out with this, all these different languages of redemption, but one of those languages is Go'alti, Geula. And Geula, that's the main expression of this future redemption that the whole world is waiting for. So Zui Geula, this is a Geula, a redemption, a freedom. The calling Yani Agal is that everything in the exile will be revealed. Everything in the exile will be revealed, the godliness in it. All the cars, all the trees, all the animals, all the people, the heavens, the earth, science, music, all these things are good. But we have absolutely no idea how good they are. Absolutely no idea. The future redemption will show the good and the blessing which is in every single thing in the world, every single thing that's good. Gula lo shoelet et avodat galad. The whole idea of the future redemption is not to send everybody to heaven and to leave this terrible low world. The world is terrible and it is very low. That's because we're not fixing it up. Ela kolelas umala et galud, but this elevates the exile. The idea is to make this physical world heaven on earth. Al yadei achnasat gilui ALEF, to reveal this ALEF, even higher than heaven actually. Gilui ALEF, revealing this ALEF, which is the alufo shel olam. Alufo shel olam means that God is the master of the world. Revealing that this world has a master to it. Putting the master of the world into the world. Shakodesh Baruch Hu Balabai, that God is the owner, umanhig, and the conductor. He moves everything in the world, even in exile. It's called Hashgacha Pratit, that God looks over and directs everything there is in the world. A very, very deep idea. And this gives us this idea that God is doing everything in the world. This gives us a little bit of a glimpse of how truly incomprehensible God is and how infinitely, infinitely good God is. That all these animals and bugs and trees and everything, it's all being created by God, but it's a whole big symphony of interaction that everything depends on everything else. And this geula, this future redemption, is made by means of our serving God in exile, in galut. Just like the word geula is the majority of the letters of geula, of redemption, are these bad letters of gola, of exile, the letters of gola. Rak b'tosefet aleph, you just have to put a little aleph inside of this, add this little bit of light, and everything becomes wonderful. I mean, maybe I can give you a little bit of example. A person, if he's in a dark room, right? You ever in the dark room? Sometimes they like in an auditorium, all the lights go out, or something, all the lights go out. So everybody at first, they all laugh. And then afterwards, people start getting a little bit scared. And if nobody like lights a little flashlight or something like that, then after 5-10 minutes, people really start getting scared, right? They really start getting uptight and they don't know what is going on, what's happening. Why did the lights go out? What are they trying to hide from us? What's going to be, right? Someone makes a noise, somebody bumps their knee or something, and gives a scream, and people panic. They go wild. They don't know. Let's get to the door. Where's the door? Nobody knows what's happening, right? Just because it's dark. As soon as they turn on the lights again, everybody's happy. Being in dark, and everything is there, nothing changed. It's just that you can't see what there is. A person can be in a dark room and he can be filled with food and drink and money and friends, and he can go crazy, right? If the friends keep quiet, he can die of thirst and of hunger and poverty and being alone. He gets all depressed. All of a sudden, turn on the lights. Hey, happy birthday! Right? He doesn't know. That's the same thing. By turning on this light, by putting a little bit of light in the word, this aleph, a feeling of that there's a creator to the world, suddenly we see how good the creator is. And that's the whole idea of Moshiach and redemption. Right? Not to go to heaven and what's going to be in the afterlife. Exactly the opposite. Afterlife is going to be something that's going to be, how do you say, disgusting. Nobody, who cares about the afterlife? This world is So wonderful. So this is where God created. The afterlife is just like waiting for the bus in a comfortable. How do they in the airport? They have the VIP room, right? But you want to get on the plane. The main thing is to go. You're going to some place, right? You have a purpose to do. You have a purpose. Like you can't stay in the VIP room the whole rest of your life. He says that this world, the dynamics of this world is only found in this physical world. And that's going to be revealed, the goodness and the blessing. That's putting the ALEF into it. Okay, let's start a little bit of explanation. What is this ALEF exactly? Now we can explain, we'll add on an explanation what the Jewish people are supposed to do. Now we are right before, just minutes before this future redemption. The main thing of this GOLA, this redemption, namely adding the ALEF, like we said before, we can see immediately in the first redemption. We just talked about that, right? About going out of Egypt. That's the basis of Judaism, right? God took us out of Egypt. What happened when the Jews got out of Egypt? The GOLA, in addition to the fact that all the Jewish people went out of Egypt, like it says, it says with our youth, our elders, our sons, our daughters, bishlemut, completely in kol chavtzim, with everything that they had, like it says, kaftzam, kaspam, v'zahav, v'mitam. It says that all the money and their riches, their silver and their gold will be with them. Namely, they took out, when they left Egypt, they took out Egypt itself. Vayishalu Mitzrayim, it says they took all the riches out of Egypt. Kli kesef, kli zahav, vessels, smalot, it says they took out the garments they took out gold and silver, and garments, it says, Rashi says the garments were worth more than the gold and the silver. V'yanatlut Mitzrayim, and they emptied out Egypt. Shasua kamitzuda b'she'en bo dagan, and mitzula she'en bo dagin. They made it like a silo that hasn't got any more grain in it, and like a fish pond that has no fish in it. It says that there were even Egyptians that came out with it. Egyptians that converted. So in other words, that the Jewish people went out of Egypt wasn't that they just left Egypt behind. Right? And as soon as they left, all of a sudden there was this big explosion and all of Egypt just burned up behind them. No. The Geula was that also Egypt itself came out, right? A lot of the Egyptians came out, all the gold and the silver from Egypt, it all came out by means of the Jewish people and this revelation of the ALEF, that God, when God revealed himself, then all of a sudden all these things became redeemed. The Rebbe has a sikha that he says that he explains a very strange thing. It says, but God, when God appeared to Abraham, it was called the Brit Bein HaBetarim, and the covenant that God made with Abraham between the pieces. So it says over there that that God said your children, your offspring are going to be slaves in a land that's not like there. This is 400 years. They got out little. God made it earlier than that. They're going to be slaves in this terrible land. They're going to suffer terribly, but they're going to go out with a lot of money. So the Rebbe said, what type of a thing is that? It says explicitly, and it's just common sense also, that if you tell a person, listen, I'm going to let you out of jail tomorrow and I'm going to give you a lot of money. You say, listen, just let me out right now. I don't want to be another moment in jail and torture. Put a person in a dentist chair and say, just the 24 more hours of torture, and I'm going to let you, I'm going to give you $1 million and let you out. Get me out of this place. What's the idea of going out with money? Who cares about money? Let's get out. So the Rebbe said, no, you don't understand. One of the main reasons they were in Egypt was to take the money. The money had sparks. Money is life. You can do things with money. And if the money is in the hands of the Egyptians, they just did bad things with it. The Jewish people, they had the money, they could build a temple with it, they could do good things, give charity, etc. That's called elevating it. So they took out the physical things from Egypt, they elevated even the physicality. That's the whole reason, tachlitam bishvilam nivra, that's the reason God created money and he created jewels, and why he gave them to the Egyptians. Why? In order that the Jewish people, that they should refine them by means of taking them out in this future redemption. By means of this, it says, afterwards, they went out with a tremendous riches. It's like nowadays people put their money in investment companies because they want to make more money, because money is a good thing. You want more money. Well, but the best investment is if you could put, that's because people appreciate money. But if your person really appreciated God, what God is, and he knew that God wants this money to be used for his purposes, and his purpose is you give all your money to God, what's the problem? Of course you would. The best investment of all. Nothing better than that. What am I going to do with my money? Where did I get the money in the first place? God gave it to me, he'll give me more money. That's it. But God doesn't want that. God doesn't request that we give everything we have to charity. What he does request is that what you have, I want to tell you a short story that really illustrates this, I think, this idea of elevation. There was a chassid, a really wonderful person. I knew him very well. His name was Rabbi Reuven Dunim. Rabbi Reuven Dunim. I knew him well. There were people that knew him a lot better, and he was very, very close to the Rebbe. The Rebbe really loved him. He had been a tractor driver. He was very good at it. Tractor driver, and he lived in a kibbutz. It's all a long story, but anyway, finally he saw the Rebbe and just fell in love with the Rebbe. And the Rebbe said, "You can come into my office whenever you want to. Just knock and come in." And everybody knew it. They would. So he loved the Rebbe so much. I mean, he must have had money because he worked a long time, a tractor driver, and he was excellent. He was in great demand. So he went to the Rebbe once, when he went into the Rebbe, and he gave the Rebbe a deed to his house. He said, "Rebbe, I'm giving you my house. Here's my key. The house belongs to you. You can do anything you want to with it. I got my wife's permission." So the Rebbe said, "If you really want the house to be my house, right?" I don't know. Maybe he figured the Rebbe would make a building there, or a synagogue. I don't know what he thought. He said, "It doesn't make any difference. Your thoughts are not my thoughts, God. Rebbe, whatever you want to do with the house, you can do. This is just yours, right? I'll rent another place." The Rebbe said, "If you really want the house to be mine, is that you live in it and do what I want." In other words, that we're supposed to elevate the world. That's the idea, not to leave the world, right? Leave it in the hands. That's the idea. They left Egypt. It says the Jewish people left Egypt. It says the reason that they were there was in order to elevate what was there in Egypt. Until it says that the Egyptian people, they all of a sudden loved the Jews, and they loaned them all of these things. Now you say, hey, they tricked the Jews. Huh? The Jews tricked them. They said, hey, we're just going to borrow this stuff and this. Good. The fact is the Jews worked there for 210 years at hard labor, and they didn't get paid a penny. They didn't get paid anything. 210 years in pure abject slavery. And like I say, they left like 3 million Jews. So if you take 3 million and add it up, how many days there are in 210 years, and they had to make them work. I guess they didn't work on Shabbat, maybe. But that it comes to a lot more than what they took out of Egypt. In any case, it says that the Egyptians even gave them things that they didn't even ask. The Jews didn't even ask. The Egyptians themselves, even more. It tells that Yashilum Bal Korcha. It says that the Egyptians forced the Jews to take their money. Bal Korcham to Israel. Why did the Egyptians have to hurry up to give all of their vessels and etc. and everything to the Jews? They're leaving Egypt. They're not going to come back. This is the opposite of nature of a person. Why? Hatziboy, the commandment, it says to the Jewish people, Lola Mitzrayim, the commandment said to the Jewish people, you should take out, you should borrow. There was no commandment to the Egyptians that they have to give their things to the Jews. And after God broke Egypt by means of the 10 plagues, all of a sudden, the Egyptians, they came and they, that all of a sudden, the Egyptians loved the Jews. God had just decimated Egypt, wrecked all their flocks, their whole economy, killed all the firstborn. And now all of a sudden the Egyptians loved the Jews. Say right in the Torah that they were afraid of the Jews. They wanted to get rid of them. No, they loved them. But it says that what does it mean? Geula, what does it mean? Redemption. It means that the redemption was Aliyah de Mitzrayim, that the Egyptians also realized that the Jewish people were connected to the Creator, the Creator. And that the Egyptians wanted the Jews to have their possessions. they would make better use of them. Because what's the purpose of life? Not for me, for the Creator. This is an elevation of the Egyptians themselves by means of Hakara, because they recognized that God, He's the King of the universe. In other words, the Egyptians realized, hey, God is creating me. I'm already, 20 years old, 50 years old. God is creating me every second, and I haven't paid Him back anything. I owed Him everything. How can I pay God back? Give it to the Jews. Umani get the olam. The Mitzrayim and the Egyptians, because some of them at least were wise, they understood and they felt. Those people that didn't see, so it says Mazleu Chazi, that they at least felt it in a distant way. The Yedu Mitzrayim and the Jews all knew that I am God. That's what it says. The Egyptians will know that I'm God. Okay, and therefore, this they had to do, and they did. The Egyptians, they themselves were aroused to give their riches to the Jews. Lo bar kocham the Mitzrayim, the Egyptians weren't forced, but their own free will. In addition to what the Jewish people, they asked them for their money. The Egyptians, in a way, the yash ilum, that they gave that all of a sudden the Jews, they found favor in the eyes of the Egyptians. The Egyptians wanted to do everything they could to be connected to God. God is creating them. That the Egyptians, even what they didn't ask for, the Jews didn't request, they gave to them. They forced the Jews to take it. Similarly, we can also see the whole idea, the second thing that we said about the redemption. The redemption was made from the word GOLA with an ALEF, by means of the fact that the Jews went into Egypt. If they wouldn't have gone into Egypt, they wouldn't have done this. That the Egyptians made them suffer. By means of this, there was an elevation, the aliyat, the Geulat Mitzrayim, that Egypt itself became elevated. But often the Achrikin, afterwards, they went out with the great riches. Because if our fathers wouldn't have gone down to Egypt, then they wouldn't have been able to elevate all this money, etc., that was in Egypt. Now you can ask yourself a question, come on, if God loves the Jews, so let God just give all the Jews all the money, and then the rest of the world will be poor. He says that's not the name of the game. The whole point of creation is free will. That's the whole novelty of creation, free will. If God wanted people to just serve Him, so He would leave it with the angels. We just finished learning in the Kuti Torah that all the angels are burning up to God and they're all loving God and this. That's just part of the process. The whole idea, like the human being has a circulatory system. So your circulatory system works. That's good. It's like you go and try out for a job. You say, what are your qualifications? I have a circulatory system. My blood works. That's ridiculous. How do you use your free will? What are your talents? What are your abilities? That's the whole idea. Dwelling in the lower worlds means, how do people use their free will? And here we have even the Egyptians. The Jews had an effect on the Egyptians. This is very important. The Jews' purpose in the world is to have an effect on the non-Jews. And not like it was in Egypt, to take away all their money. And like I say, the Egyptians just paid the Jews only a fraction of what they owed them for the work that they had been done in slavery and reparations. Think of how many Jews they killed. From this, it's understood also in regarding to the future redemption, which is going to be similar to the redemption that we left to Egypt, until it says that the future redemption is called the Geula Amitit Shlema. It's called a true, complete redemption. On it says, it says about the future redemption, which is supposed to happen any second now. It says, like the days of going out of Egypt, I will show you miracles. The future redemption is going to be called redemption. Why? Because ALEF, it will elevate everything that's in the exile by means of revealing this ALEF that we said, that God is the king of the universe, that there's a king and a creator. And number two, the only way that can happen is by means of our service and our serving God under these impossible conditions of exile. In other words, in the conditions, serving God in a way that it's pure faith, pure determination. Everything is against us. And nevertheless saying, I know there's a ray of hope. The redemption is going to come. God is good. the world is going to be a good place. And by means of serving God under those conditions, on this darkness, is by means of this, that's what puts the ALEF into GOLA. So like I've said before, a lot of times, you're in a situation that makes you depressed. You're in a situation that makes you angry. You're in a situation that makes you lustful. So that's called galus, that's exile. What are you supposed to do? It's impossible. You can't get out of it. What are you supposed to do? You're so depressed, everything is just going terrible, wrong, everything, you're losing right and left, awful, right? Angry, you're angry that somebody took all your things from you, he cursed you out in public, and this, you're angry, you want to get revenge, right? You're lustful, the person has some sort of a thing he's lusting for. Here you see all these people that get caught with ladies, and right? And they embarrass themselves, they just can't hold themselves back. Well, what are we supposed to do when we're in a situation like that? That's impossible to hold yourself back. Says that's when you have to have connection to God. Bring that ALEF into the darkness and the negativity of the world. Bring the ALEF, the oneness of God, into situations that make you depressed, make you angry, make this, the ALEF of the world, then that changes, all of a sudden, changes the whole thing. And that's called bringing the ALEF into transforming the GOLA, the exile, into GOLA. I'll just say one short thing. I had some connection with people that were addicts, drug addicts, and this. And they said that, I read books also, and they said that to be, again, like a drug addict, to be a drug addict, again, to go back to drugs, to have that terrible experience, and what I lost, the people, they lose their families, they lose everything, they get put into jail, they lose their health, they lose everything. And then they get out of it. And they always have the temptation to go back. They said to do that again, that battle, and that in a million years, I would never do it. Give me all the money in the world. It was worse than hell. But on the other hand, the satisfaction that I beat the dragon, that I defeated the serpent, that I overcame this terrible addiction, it says that's an accomplishment that I wouldn't give up for a million years. $1 million. In other words, the exile is terrible, but going out of the exile, oh, that's something that can't be accomplished by no one can have any appreciation of what life is until there's been difficulties. No, what does it mean? We have to have difficulties. So this is the difficulties we have by looking at the world and seeing how terrible and dark it is and how much suffering there is. That should make us feel bad. That should be our suffering. And that we can go out of by putting the godliness into the GOLA and making GOLA by means of the Moshiach. And that we'll talk about, God willing, more tomorrow. Hayom. Let's just do the Yom Yom. Hayom Yom for today. The Alter Rebbe once said, Alter Rebbe used to say short Maimon before he started saying after he was in prison and he got out of prison, so he started saying very long discourses like what we're learning in the morning. But he used to say short things. And the short things is, da ma lamayla mimach. A lot of times you go into synagogues, you'll see that it's written on the podium where the Shliach Tzibur stands, da ma lamayla mimach. You should know what is above you. Right? Why do Jews wear a kippah? Why is there a kippah? Because you have to know that your intellect goes up to here, and that above you is the creator. You have no idea what the creator is. You should know what's above you. Right? Know what's above you. In other words, you're not the end of the whole picture. You should know what is above you. That's a simple meaning. But the deeper meaning, the Alter Rebbe said, da ma'ala ma'ala, you should know that everything that's above, all that's happening in all the upper sphirot and all the emanations and the angels, da ma'ala ma'ala, that whatever happens from above, all the blessings and everything that happens in the world, from the spiritual worlds, mimach, da ma'ala ma'ala, mimach. Everything that's above comes from you. It all depends on your serving Hashem and your attitude, thought, speech, and action. You should know that what is above is from you. Have a good day with Moshiach. Now, 3:00, God willing, we're learning Chumash and the halachas of this week's Torah portion in the book Mitzvot Hashem. Have a good day. God bless you all.